Thank you for joining the Payroll Solutions community. We have a special guest, Devin Hunter from Provisor, where they do HR solutions. They're the people experts. And she's going to talk a little bit about the Family First coronavirus law that passed and maybe a few other things, but I'm going to let her take control right now. So Devin, how has this been affecting your clients or people that you have that you're helping with?
Well, it is definitely a very interesting time, and I'm Devin with Provisor. As Shannon mentioned, we specialize in small company and mid-size HR services. So essentially, we've been paying a lot of attention to the requirements for employers of 500 and below. So what came out last week and was signed into law had both individual and employment benefits. And one of the things that is really quite new is the emergency sick leave and the extended pay leave. So in these, it is effective 15 days from the date that it was signed. So it was signed on the 18th. So that means that it needs to be in place by the end of the day, April 2nd. And the emergency sick leave requires all employers to give 80 hours of full pay for people that need to be absent from work. If you are under 50 employees, they are offering the ability to be exempt from that. The process to be exempt has not yet been defined, but sometime this week it's supposed to be rolled out and is described as a simple and efficient process. So we'll see what that means. The next one, the extended leave pay, is basically the equivalent of what I would say FMLA is, but it's a leave with pay. So essentially in this situation, the worker has to have eligibility requirements. They either need themselves a diagnosis of COVID, they have to be quarantined at the instruction of a provider or employer or government official because of COVID exposure. They have to be caring for another person that has COVID, or that person is under quarantine of COVID, or they're caring for a child or an individual that's unable to care for themselves because their school, facility, or care program has been closed because of COVID. So the employee in this situation has to take 14 or more days leave of work before this kicks in. And then this allows a paid leave of 1 to 3 months of pay, depending on your current pay. It is 2/3 of the individual's average earnings, up to a cap of $4,000. And it falls into the period of January 19th through the end of the year. So again, this is going to be administered through the Social Security Administration offices. The SSA is working on setting that up. If you were to go to the SSA website today, you're not going to be able to find it because they are still working on what that process looks like. So what that means is that you will be able to back qualify. So if you meet the qualifications and you should be getting paid under this, this law, you'll be able to go back and be able to do that separately. Now, if you're one of those people that is in an employment situation where you have more than 500 employees, or maybe someone in your household has more than 500, these two specific laws don't apply to you. FMLA, which is job protection for companies that have over 50 employees, mean that if you need to take time off to care for somebody else, your job is protected. However, the pay aspects are left to each individual company. So many people have short-term disabilities that if they themselves are sick, you have an ability to get pay through your short-term disability insurance. Anything else that is basically caring for somebody else that's ill or a different situation is going to be left at this point up to each individual employer. So these two laws, as they are written right now, are for those that are under 500 employees, okay? So then that brings us to unemployment. So here again, the federal government has asked each state to relax their eligibility requirements. And in complying with those the new eligibility requirements, every state will get federal funds in order to be able to pay the excess unemployment that they weren't planning for. So what that means is the things that you're going to hear about in the next coming months aren't typically standard. They're specific to the situation. So the eligibility requirements right now that have been rolled out by the government is that, you lost your job just like normal. You no longer have employment. You had your hours cut, or you've been furloughed. So those three things are the current requirements right now. What's also under review once this current bill is passed is adding the ability for 1099 freelancers and gig workers to also come into that bucket. So how exactly that's going to work is not yet defined. Those areas, those details will be coming up next. But if you're somebody that has lost your job, had your hours cut, or are furloughed, you should go to your state unemployment at this point in time and start a claim. The other part that has been changed is they have waived your ability to wait a week. That's going to vary from state to state. And in some states, you have to wait a week before your benefits become available. In some, you have to claim that you're looking for a job. So they're giving a grace period of the looking for the job at this point in time, and we'll be getting more details around what that looks like. In addition, this next stimulus that is being approved right now is looking at increasing the amount of unemployment wages that you would be eligible for during this time. So there are a lot of question marks right there that we don't know yet, but the one thing you can do if you meet these qualifications, go ahead and get your claim in, and then more information will come. And we're hoping that today or tomorrow will clarify some of those questions. It could kind of go into next week.
Yeah, well, let's hope it doesn't, because there's so many people that have so many questions right now. And it really kind of sucks for us as the experts on this. And I know Devin will agree, is that when you say, well, we don't know because the law hasn't been passed. And and I know Devin and I were talking before we started recording, to advising people against reading all the drafts, because that's just going to drive you crazy. It's driving us crazy. And
yeah,
we can't keep up on it because every 5 minutes it changes.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice is the same as Devin's, is please do yourself a favor and don't read the drafts. Let's wait until things actually pass, because it's just, a lot of this is just whipping people into unnecessary worry. And, we won't know anything until our elected officials decide what they're going to do and what they're going to, what they can agree on and pass.
Absolutely. And then the details kind of get intermingled in your mind, and you can't remember what was a draft and what was in the final law. So the best thing to do is just to wait, watch and see if it's been passed, but wait till it's been passed, then look for the guidance of what was the final amounts and actions that were in there. And then, of course, call your trusted advisors on, I understand there's a payroll credit. How do I do it? What resources do I go to? And your trusted advisors can help you. The other things that I'm mentioning for employers to share with their employees, especially those ones where they've had to reduce their hours or reduce their pay or furlough them completely. For those people that you've had an impact, please share this information. And even if they are not affected by your unemployment, somebody in their house might be. So the other things is that for at least 60 days, all evictions and foreclosures have been suspended.
I think you have to, if you get into a situation, you have to still apply and request it. It's not automatic.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You can't just not pay your loans. You need to call and request. And if you do so, if you follow the process that is specific to your bank, there is not like any one blanket process, and there's not a consistent from bank to bank, this is what you get. Some banks are doing only for a month, other banks are doing 6 months. You just kind of have to call and see what's happening. So basically you can call your mortgage and loan providers. It could be car loans, it could be mortgage loans, anybody that you have a loan with. You can call and ask them if they have a forbearance or a deferment or a grace period program, and please to apply for that. Now they are going to ask you if you have been impacted by COVID, and what that means is that your household has taken a reduction of income. It doesn't have to be all, it could be a part, whatever it is that you've been impacted by COVID.
Right, and this isn't a, oh, sorry, go
eventually you're
ahead.
going to have to get proof. Eventually they're going to ask you for documentation. You're going to have to send that documentation, but they're in the emergency steps right now, so it's easy to trigger without yet providing the proof. Shannon?
And this is something that is available for everybody, for small business owners that are not eligible for the unemployment. They don't fit into any of the other categories that we've already discussed. This is available for everybody that has any type of reduction in income that you can prove. Now, I had a really big client that was coming on board in the restaurant industry. I can't prove that I lost that income because I didn't actually have it yet. So that is one instance where you would not qualify. But if you lose clients or customers stop, or you are working in the restaurant industry and you can't have dine-in, dine-in is drive-through only, or to-go delivery, that is marked lost income. So.
Absolutely. So for the most part, that is the encompassing topics of today. I think in our next call, we could probably spend a little bit more time on the SBA loans and the benefits that are being provided to help with small businesses, but there are just so many question marks right now around that, that it's probably better to have that in a following topic.
Right, and the SBA loan website is actually down right now for maintenance, so I think they're retooling it and changing things, and nobody knows for sure what they're doing, just that on yesterday, March 25th, 2020, it went down for maintenance. And when I peeked on it to see if I could get to it right before we got on this call at 1 o'clock Central Time, March 26th, it was still down. So
yeah. And really the biggest advice they were giving was to call your lender and do a good portion of the first phase of due diligence through your lender. There clearly is an application process online, but it wasn't yet structured for what's happening at the current moment. So more to come on that. Shannon, are there any other specific questions or topics you think would be helpful right now?
No, I think you covered all of the questions that I had notes on. And when we post this on Facebook and YouTube, definitely if you have questions that you want us to cover in our next call, Devin and I have already worked out an agreement where we're going to do a small series of these, because everything is changing so fast and we want to make sure we're giving updated information to everybody within our reach. So definitely if you have questions, leave them with us. You can message us if you're connected with us on Facebook. Devin, do you have a way that you want people to get a hold of you if they have questions?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to our Facebook, which is Provisor, PROVISHR, or contact us on our website, which is provisor.com. So either of those two places, both of us, Shannon and I, will also be sharing a small business resource where you can have access to call centers and compliance databases that will help you navigate your employer requirements. And we'll be posting more information on that.
All right, definitely. Well, thank you, Devin, for your time and explaining things as you understand them. And we'll be doing another call. The next one we're going to be doing is going to be recorded like this one as well and not live. As soon as the government passes the new stimulus bill, and we'll cover what is happening in there. And then a couple of days later, we'll do a live on our different Facebook and different social media platforms. All right.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Thank you for having me, Shannon. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate your willingness to join us on fairly short notice.
That's what it is today, right? Most of the time, short notice, everything as information's rolling out. So we do the best that we can.
Right. Yep, definitely. All right. Well, thank you, Devin. We'll see everybody later. Bye.